Hello guys, my name is Marc from jazzguitarlessons.net. This is an answer to a guy on YouTube called Blue Jazz Cat, who's been asking, and he asked twice, I'm sorry by the way, about 8th note swing and what is that thing that we call the swing feel for guitarists and etc. So let me start by saying this. It's not one thing, and as usual I'm going to make a really long video and talk and talk and talk, but for you guys that really want to shed and get to the guitar, you can watch the first few minutes and you'll be fine. And for the ones that are more courageous, you can watch the whole thing and see what you can do. So here we go. Swing is not one thing, and it can be explained in many different ways, and most of the ways that I've heard people explain it in are fine, they're good, and they're very valid, there exist valid historical recordings to support that approach, so that's fine. So what I'll do, I'll just go by what's most popular and what's more obvious, and then towards the end I'm going to tell you how I do that when I play for real. So let's get going right away. First thing, triplets. That's the most obvious one. You see a chart, you say it says shuffle, feel, triplet feel, swing, swung 8 notes, whatever. Basically what it means that, you know, if you take, I'll take C major scale, right? You play it in 8 notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and swing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's using the triplet. The idea is that regular 8 notes are just taking a beat and splitting it in half exactly right in the middle, right here. When you do a triplet feel, you take the same beat, but you subdivide it in 3 equal parts, and you play only on the first and third part. You don't play this one. So basically, this is a swing of duration. You're really changing the note's duration. So let me put the metronome and show you the difference. Straight, 1 and 2 and 3 and triplet swing. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 1 3 1 3 1. That's a triplet. Triple. If you see older jazz books, or if you see classical music written, you may even see that as dotted 8th note to 16th. So this is more jumpy, doesn't groove at all, doesn't swing. So that's one approach. Just be careful, guys. I've noticed a lot of good guitarists, but they go into jazz and they want to play scales like this, and they just go on, and you're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna hurt your picking hand because you're not made to be played like this. So just relax and don't exaggerate the triplet feel. Don't exaggerate the jumpiness of it. Now for the second part of what I think is a good description of swing, it's the accent. So a lot of guys, they'll just play straight 8 notes, but they will accent the weak beats, not the wrong beats, but the weak beats. So let's say that's your quarter note, that's your pulse, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, your 8 notes are straight, but you accent upbeats, 3, 4. Of course, I'm exaggerating a lot. So this is a different type of approach, but I think it sounds more modern in certain ways, and it's more versatile because you don't have to think, oh, this is swing or this is not swing, triplet. You just think of 8 notes, and this is the approach of accent. So the first triplet approach is an approach of duration, and the approach of accenting is an approach of volume, really. And both can be supported by really good, historical drummer. You think Elvin Jones singing big triplet, and you think of oh my God, I don't want to get in trouble and name someone that didn't play like that, but I think Philly Joe Jones at really fast tempo, ding 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 ding, like something that sounds like it's straight, but it's not straight at all. It's just the way to approach the 8 notes. And lastly, another thing that a lot of people have been doing from the bebop and on is you utilize groupings that are odd to the system you're using. So let's say we're playing in 4/4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you take groupings of even notes, so 8th notes, and you group them into threes. So if you group 3 8th notes together, you're going to get a dotted quarter note. A 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, and 4. Boom, boom, da, da, da. So all of this is straight in reality, but I'm just employing a grouping of notes that makes it sound like it's swinging. And this is more like classical oriented because, of course, you're going to change your perception and you're going to shift the way it sounds because you're grouping in different ways. So those are really the three approaches. So for those of you that really want to get going, pick your metronome, set a tempo that's simple, that's easy for you to play at, and start subdividing in triplets. Just say ta 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 triple ta 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 da ta da ta da ta da, and that's all there is to it really. But let me continue this discussion because it's really interesting. Here's another point that I'm really fond of. You can displace, you can change the what's the word? Like the note placement in regards to where the center of the beat is. So let's say you have a tempo and it's dead on. This is like right on the money, like that's like boom, 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 1, 2, 3, 4. What you can do is play 8 notes that are really straight, that are normal, but play them just a little bit behind the beat, or a lot behind the beat. And this creates a really cool tension because, think Pat Metheny. Think Pat Metheny playing at a medium upswing. That's what it sounds like. He plays 8 notes that are, relatively in duration. It's not like triplet feel. But he's just a little bit behind the beat, and that thing creates enormous tension, and it just sounds great because the forward motion is inside that rhythm, and it's not because of any specific figure. It's not a rhythmic figure, sorry, it's just where it is. Same way you could be on the tip of your toes and play just up front of the beat. And that's usually the case of bass players because the attack on the upright bass is slow, boom, right? So they play just a bit up front, tip of their toes, and the soloist will play a bit behind, and it makes things swing like crazy, but it's not like swung 8 notes. So it's interesting to think about that. And also, two last things. First thing, the groove in general, the groove, like music with a strong pulse and that is rhythmically oriented, does not necessarily have to do with the way the 8 notes are played. You can have music that is aimed and that has a really strong pulse of quarter notes. Think Count Basie Orchestra. Ba-da, ba-da-da, ba-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like that guy, Freddie Green. Quarter notes, quarter notes, quarter notes, just super strong quarter notes. Does it swing? Yes. Is it swung 8 notes? Well, yeah, maybe. But it swings because it's really present. Same way back in the day, like, in 1915, marching bands or whatever in New Orleans, they would start playing and start putting the accents in different places. And it didn't mean that they played a jumpy, like, feel, not necessarily. But they played, let's say that's a good example. A 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, 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 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's like a huge anticipation of the one. So that would bring me to a totally different topic. In jazz, even if the 8th notes are swung or Latino or not swung, whatever, if there's anticipation and retardation, meaning that a chord of 4/4, a chord of 4 beat, and another chord of 4 beats, you don't necessarily play them exactly where they are. You may anticipate them, you may retard them a little bit, and this creates a lot of forward motion. So anyways, all in all, I think it's important not to regard something as being swing and not being swing just because you hear it as being like an American ting, 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 because European music swings like really in a different way. Baroque music swung in its own terms. Go to Latin America, go in Brazil. I'm sure there's a lot of guys that are watching this that are actually in Brazil. And you know that the culture in South America is much more rhythmic than it is, let's say, in Canada. I'm in Canada, and you listen to traditional like rumba music or whatever you. I'm not a connoisseur, not at all. I don't want to get in trouble. Or even bossa nova, and because of the different claves and because of the way it's put forward, it really does swing, but it's not like an American swing. So that's fine. I mean, same thing for African traditional music. It's full of polyrhythms, and that's all of this that makes the music come to life. So it's just important not to think of triplets or not triplets, and that's good and that's bad. Now, lastly, while we're already 10 minutes in the video, I was sure it was going to be at like 3 minutes video. So, last thing, what I do when I play, when I really do play, I don't try to categorize right away if it's going to be straight or swing, because anything can happen and it depends with who you're playing. So, let's say I'm playing a gig and we're playing this tune, it's in 3/4 like a jazz waltz, it's fairly fast. I'm not going to put a fourth, like four that I'm playing, because you may have that drummer here who plays in a certain way, plays a pulse, and he may decide to make a fill on the drums that is totally straight, and that's totally valid too. It doesn't mean that it will stop swinging, but it doesn't mean that everything will be triplets based either. And of course I'm not talking about playing blues. If you're playing a huge blues shuffle, ding, bam, that's like really triplet bass. It's part of the deal, like B.B. King, I don't know, even Eric Clapton stuff, or some rock and roll, it's triplet bass, so that's fine. But in jazz, as in like improvised music, my approach is not to expect anything, unless we're really trying to play in a style. So okay, we're gonna play How Insensitive, bossa nova, and play bossa like style in the style of bossa. Then you're careful. You say, okay, let's just playing the aesthetic. But outside of that, I think I think that's it. You just be ready to hear anything and be able to react to anything, because even if you have a strong bass player that plays a huge quarter note for you and he decides to do a fill or a line and it's not necessarily swinging in the same way you expected, then you're never in trouble. But if you always play in the same manner, you're going to be stuck in some places sounding like a fool. So I'm sorry to say that. Please let me know if you have any questions. It's the most I can give you in like this 10 minutes. I can tell you what I think and etc. But of course, take everything with a grain of salt. You can study great drummers. You can listen to more recent like New York jazz guys, what they think about that field. You can think of older guys that are still around, like Gary Peacock or even Keith Jarrett. It's not that old, but just the way it's swinging, and just to be careful with not putting everything in one box, and that's the way it is. So I'm Marc from jazzguitarlessons.net. See you next time. Improve your jazz guitar playing with a real teacher. Take care.